People experience good and bad things in their lives. Of course, it is not always easy to tell what is good and bad when you see it. You may wake up one morning and suddenly realize something you thought was perfect is actually a lie. Or, in a burst of mental clarity, you realize something that seems bad is actually good. When your whole life seems pointless, any chance to gain a purpose, good or bad, appears worth the risks. These points are all interwoven into the story of the novel Freedom Swimmer by Y. Chim. During the 1950s and 60s, China underwent a cultural revolution that promised to make the country strong through the newly created Communist Party. For village children like Ming, every day isn't beautiful or promising. Ming toils in the village fields in order to earn his rations of food so he can work again tomorrow. The cycle is endless, but Ming bears it with a firm heart. Then, unexpectedly, a group of communist-educated boys are brought to the village from the city of Guangdong as part of a re-education program. One of these city boys, Li, starts a friendship with Ming right after they first meet. The two bond over their shared labor and a shared interest in swimming at the nearby beach, a place that beckons them to swim across the peninsula to freedom in Hong Kong. But to do that would lead the boys to forced labor or even death by the party's watchful officers. This novel shows how two very different types of people think about the same thing. In this case, the Communist Party. Ming does not know how the party really works and governs the people. Li does not understand why the party's truths are not fully accepted by those outside the city. Y. Chim shows Ming and Li's differing viewpoints by switching the focus to one or the other every few chapters. As I continued reading, I realized that these two boys were not so different after all. One impactful line from this novel comes from Ming's father. "It doesn't matter where they're from. All desperate men are the same." When Ming or Li is hurt and lashes out in anger, the other tries to force them back into line so they both stay safe. On the flip side, when one of them is determined to do something exciting, the other feels compelled to go along no matter what. You might have a close friend of your own that you do a lot of things with and who you know will support you when you fall. You may not have the same desperation that Ming and Li have, but the important point is that you and your friend are important to each other. Actually, how important are your friendships to you? Could you live without them and still live happily? Freedom Swimmer is 247 pages long, and from the first page, it shows you how life was during the Cultural Revolution for different types of young adults in China. There are laughs, fights, struggles, and smiles in these pages, enough to carry readers along with Ming and Li as they become very close friends through a shared desire that seems impossible. For those of you determined to bravely take the plunge, the novel is available to read in the middle school library.